This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the City of Warrenville City Council regular meeting for Monday, April 20th, 2020. A reminder, this meeting will be entirely via electronic means and not at City Hall. It is being also recorded. May I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Eschauer.
Here.
Alderman Berry.
Here.
Alderman Bevere.
Here.
Alderman Davalos.
Here.
Alderman Goodman.
Here.
Alderman Krischel.
Here.
Alderman Widener. Alderman Widener. Alderman Wilson.
Here.
Oh, that sounded like Alderman Widener.
Yeah, and Alderman Wilson.
Here. Very good. Thank you. We'll now do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please, again, say it silently to yourself.
Staff.
Oh, I'm sorry. First, we identify the staff that are also with us tonight.
Yeah. Treasurer Brenner.
I'm here.
City Attorney Lenneman.
Here.
City Administrator Coakley.
Here.
Assistant City Administrator White.
Here.
Chief Toronto.
Here.
Finance Director Dahlstrand.
Here.
Community and Economic Development Director Menser.
Here.
Deputy Public Work Director Kukler.
Here.
Thank you, Emily. Now we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, and again, I ask you to do it silently as I say it out loud. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first thing on our agenda this evening is the opening of bids for possible sale of city-owned surplus property. That's bid number B2020-04. Assistant City Administrator White will handle the opening of these bids.
Thank you. I've got it. We only received one bid, marked sealed bid number 2020-04. The name of the bidder is Jerome Planick II. The bid amount is $1,201 for surplus property bid number 2020-04. And included in the bid is a guarantee for 10%, which is $120.10. It also includes the signed addendum that is required. The proposal is complete and does not appear to contain any irregularities.
Okay, very good. And that's all we need to do this evening, just open that bid.
Correct.
Okay. No vote is necessary. All right, we'll move on to the part of our meeting that we reserve for citizens' comments. We'll now hear any verbal or written comments from the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please announce yourself with your name and address. Please speak slowly and clearly so we can capture your information. Once we have everyone wishing to speak, I will call on you one by one to proceed with your comments. Do we have anyone with comments this evening verbally? Okay, apparently not, and we have no emailed comments either. Otherwise, we would read them aloud. And once we conclude, of course, the citizens' comment portion of our meeting, there will not be another opportunity for the public to comment at this meeting. We will now move on to official and staff comments, beginning with the mayor. I have several this evening. First, I'd like to congratulate the community on their social distancing, wearing of masks, and being careful when they're out in public. I see plenty of evidence that people are being very careful about how they keep themselves safe and keep their neighbors and friends safe, and also keep people that are working safe. That's very much appreciated, and we hope that you will continue to do that. Some other information for this evening. Sadly, we've had to cancel the bike rodeo out of an abundance of caution for the safety of all participants and volunteers alike. we have decided to cancel the bike rodeo. We still encourage you to get your exercise in other ways by participating in the Mayor's Fitness Challenge set to start in May. Look for a post on the website and Facebook for the official start date. So we're still going to have that. It's still going to be possible to do individually, and we're going to encourage everyone to take advantage of that opportunity coming up. Again, somewhere along the middle of May, and we will give you plenty of notice. Another reminder, if you have not already done so, please file your statement of economic interest with the county clerk. The deadline is May 1st. If you wish to avoid a late filing penalty. So far, 68% of Warrenville households have responded to the 2020 census. I think that's even better than DuPage County. Well done, citizens of Warrenville, but we're still shy of what we would hope to be close to 100%. There is still time to respond either online or by phone. Please continue to remind your constituents to self-respond as soon as possible to ensure a complete and accurate count for the city. And also, we have a couple of vacancies on local boards and commissions. If you feel compelled to serve your community, and I hope someone out there does, please consider volunteering for the Bicyclist and Pedestrian Advisory Commission or the Environmental Advisory Commission. There's one term available on each of these commissions. There are 3-year terms that begin May 1st of this year. And finally, congratulations to staff for getting our certificate. Where do I have that here? Our 27th consecutive Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association. So many thanks to the Finance Department for following every requirement to do the reports properly to the letter and to get us another fine report. Again, 27 in a row. Well done, Finance Department. And that's all I have for this evening. We'll move on to the clerk.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Treasurer.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. And I will go through the aldermen again, as we do for every one of these, to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to add to the meeting. Alderman Ashour, do you have any comments this evening?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Berry?
No comment this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Bevere?
No comments tonight.
Thank you. Alderman Davalos? Alderman Davalos?
No comment, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Goodman?
I wanted to let people know that I've received requests from residents for telephone town halls. I know there have been discussions of those in the past years. People are feeling very underinformed by our current status, and they would like a lot more information about what's going on, resources available to them. I know that telephone town halls are being employed for that exact purpose during this pandemic and other places, and I hope that the City Council will consider rolling that out of our communication toolbox. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Krischel?
No comment, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Widener?
Yes, I just wanted to express my great appreciation for all the service providers, the police, the fire department, and all the city staff that have been out there during this pandemic. Their work is truly appreciated, and also appreciate the effort at communicating the status of the pandemic on a daily basis through our email and the other communication channels that we're receiving information on. So thank you.
Thank you. And Alderman Wilson?
I'd just like to make a comment and thanks to staff and everybody else at the city for this ability that we're able to conduct meetings even over the phone. I think it's great, and you've done a wonderful job. So thanks a lot for everything that you put into it.
Thank you very much. And we'll move on to the city administrator.
Thank you. Quickly, thank you to all the elected officials. You're doing a great job working with us. These meetings are getting better each time. This is our 4th electronic meeting, I believe. Yep. It's new for all of us. We're doing a good job. I appreciate your help and thank you. Also, city staff, I'll echo those comments. Our staff is doing an awesome job, whether they're working remotely or on site. They're getting the job done to continue providing services for the health, safety, and welfare of our residents, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, John. City Attorney, Brooke?
Nothing from me tonight.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on then to the approval of the agenda for this evening. Alderman Widener?
I move to approve the agenda for the April 20th, 2020 City Council regular meeting.
Second, Alderman Wilson.
A motion
I'd like to
and
amend it. Alderman
Okay.
Ashour would like to remove an item. Would like to remove 6A.
6A. Okay. Do the motioner and the seconder agree to that change to the agenda?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. So then, all those in favor, clerk will read the roll.
Alderman Berry,
Aye.
Alderman Widener,
Aye.
Alderman Krischel,
Aye.
Alderman Wilson,
Aye.
Alderman Ashour,
Aye.
Alderman Goodman,
Aye.
Alderman Bevere,
Aye.
Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
Thank you. The agenda as amended has been approved for this evening. We have 3 sets of minutes that need approval also. Alderman Widener, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, I move to approve the minutes of the April 6th, 2020 City Council regular meeting, to approve the minutes of the April 13th, 2020 City Council special meeting, and to approve the minutes of the April 13th, 2020 City Council closed session.
Second, Alderman Wilson.
Thank you. We have a
Alderman
motion.
Goodman, is it possible to separate out item 5A so I can abstain?
Sure, I don't see why not. That makes sense. Absolutely. So we'll have 2 separate votes then? Okay, the first vote then would be on the approval of 6A. 5A, I'm sorry.
5A, okay.
Emily?
Alderman Krischel,
Aye.
Alderman Wilson,
Aye.
Alderman Bevere.
Aye.
Alderman Berry,
Aye.
Alderman Goodman will abstain, Alderman Davalos,
Aye.
Alderman Widener,
Aye.
Alderman Ashour.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes for 5A have been approved. Now the vote would be on approving the minutes from 5B and C.
Alderman Ashour,
Aye.
Alderman Goodman,
Aye.
Alderman Widener,
Aye.
Alderman Bevere,
Aye.
Alderman Wilson,
Aye.
Alderman Berry,
Aye.
Alderman Davalos,
Aye.
Alderman Krischel.
Aye.
Thank you. Emily, we'll go on now to read the consent agenda as amended for this evening. Item 6B, accept staff recommendation, waive second reading, and pass ordinance 02020-19, establishing a schedule of job classifications and authorized personnel strength for FY 2021. C, accept staff recommendation, waive second reading, and pass ordinance 02020-20, extending existing liquor licenses and renewal deadline to May 31st, 2020. D, accept Mayor Brummel's recommendation and pass resolution R2020-23, extending the duration of the March 16th, 2020 declaration of emergency until the adjournment of the next regular, special, or emergency meeting of the City Council. E, accept staff recommendation and pass resolution R2020-24, awarding the contract for the installation of diesel particulate filters in public works fleet vehicles to Elite Emission Products Incorporated of Fife, Washington, in the amount of $55,617.80. F, accept staff recommendation and pass resolution R2020-25, approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Warrenville Fire Protection District for parking lot resurfacing as part of the 2020 road program. G, accept staff recommendation and approve the FY 2021 citywide work plan. H, accept Mayor Brummel's recommendation and approve the reappointment of Jerry Sugru as chairman of the Bicyclist and Pedestrian Advisory Commission for a one-year term set to expire April 30th, 2021. I, accept Mayor Brummel's recommendation and approve the reappointment of Sarah Anderson as chairman of the Environmental Advisory Commission for a one-year term set to expire on April 30th, 2021. J, accept Mayor Brummel's recommendation and approve the reappointment of Monica Johnson as chairman of the Tourism and Arts Commission for a one-year term set to expire April 30th, 2021. K, accept Mayor Brummel's recommendation and approve the reappointment of Amy Murphy, Commissioner of the Bicyclist and Pedestrian Advisory Commission for a three-year term set to expire April 30th, 2023. L, accept Mayor Brummel's recommendation and approve the reappointment of Sarah Anderson, Commissioner of the Environmental Advisory Commission for a three-year term set to expire April 30th, 2023. M, accept Mayor Brummel's recommendation and approve the reappointment of Linda Osborne and Judy Wilkie, Commissioners of the Tourism and Arts Commission for a three-year term set to expire April 30th, 2023. And accept Mayor Brummel's recommendation and approve the reappointment of Daniel Leonard, Commissioner of the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners for a three-year term set to expire April 30th, 2023. O, accept Mayor Brummel's recommendation and approve the reappointment of Timothy Wing, trustee of the Police Pension Fund Board of Trustees for a two-year term set to expire April 30th, 2022. P, receive and file report of invoices paid up to April 15th, 2020, in the amount of $23,031.96. Q, authorize expenditures for invoices due on or before May 4th, 2020, in the amount of $69,470.10. And R, receive and file report of debit card expenditures for the month of March 2020, in the amount of $10,376.60. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read, please?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented by Mayor David Brummel.
Second by Alderman Wilson.
All right, a motion and a second. A roll call, please.
Alderman Berry.
Aye.
Alderman Goodman.
Aye.
Alderman Widener.
Aye.
Alderman Krischel.
Aye.
Alderman Bevere.
Aye.
Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
Alderman Ashour.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you. The consent agenda as amended has been approved for this evening. We are going to return to item 6A. Would someone like to make that motion, please?
I can make the motion, Alderman Davalos. Offer second reading and pass ordinance 02020-17, adopting the City of Warrenville FY 2021 budget, and direct the city administrator and the budget officer Coakley to take appropriate and necessary actions to address the economic impacts on the city during FY 2021.
Second
by Alderman Berry.
Okay, Alderman Wilson. We'll take Alderman Wilson for the second. So we have a motion and a second discussion. What I'll do again is go through each of the aldermen and give you all an opportunity to make a comment or to ask a question if you're so inclined. Beginning again with Alderman Ashour.
I pulled that off the agenda because I disagree with the funding for the gas station, and that's the only way I know how to bring that forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Berry, comment?
No comment.
Thank you. Alderman Bevere?
Yeah, I'm not in favor of this because of the Citgo property. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Davalos?
Yes, I certainly understand the concerns of the alderman about this issue, but for me, I'm voting on the budget, and I know that there will be many times for me to vote yes or no on the Citgo property. This is not any vote for or against the Citgo property at this point. The money's in the budget, but it certainly won't be spent until there are probably several votes in City Council. So I will be voting yes on this.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Goodman?
I would say that I have two key areas of objection to the budget motion. The first one is that, with all due respect to the city administrator and his abilities, it does seem like an abdication of our responsibilities as aldermen to pass a budget that we do not think is balanced, which we think is too optimistic, and which is actually, in some ways that we know, incorrect with respect to revenue. Large areas of concern in the budget that we know are going to need changes, even given the limited information that we currently have in our possession, and simply hand over to the city administrator the responsibility to make the needed changes. That's certainly not what I believe I was elected to do. Secondly, there are sizable projects and staff choices.
Excuse me, Alderman. Yeah, can you pause for a second? We've got someone who's not muted. You have a lot of background noise. It's hard to understand you. So if you're not speaking, can you please mute your phone?
Somebody's washing dishes.
Yeah. All right, is everyone muted except Alderman Goodman, please? I'm sorry, Alderman Goodman, I apologize for that. Would you like to continue, please?
I guess just to summarize the first point, I don't believe that that's what I was elected to do. But secondly, there are some sizable projects, policy options, and staff choices in this budget, which, given current physical conditions, seem in my judgment to be a poor use of limited taxpayer funds. Without repeating myself on points that have been discussed in earlier meetings, I simply want to make the point that increasing funds beyond the budgeted amount in this budget will require a budget amendment, which takes the consent of 2/3 of this council. That's intended to provide oversight and accountability by elected officials for our policy judgments, and therefore, in my view, makes it a more responsible proceeding on our part if we adopt initially a budget that's leaner than we think may be necessary, so that funds are only spent if, in fact, those revenues actually arrive. We're today doing it the opposite way around. We're setting out unrealistically high expenses and projections of our revenue, and then relying on staff not to spend money that we don't have. And again, not spending money that's in the budget does not require a budget amendment or the consent of 2/3 of the council, and is therefore abdicating the responsibility that I feel I was elected to have as a city council member. Therefore, I cannot support this motion.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Krischel?
No comment.
Thank you. Alderman Widener?
Yeah, I have two comments. I guess I'm looking forward to a broader, more wide-ranging discussion on the triage of this budget. You have to start with something, and I trust staff and their record to be able to come forward and to discuss the necessary cuts and changes and their ideas behind it, as we always do. And then I think as aldermen, we will be able to add our comments and massage their suggestions and come to good decisions like we normally do with any other issue. And regarding the specific of this line item in the budget. It is something the citizens want. There's grants available. It's consistent with other environmental cleanups that have occurred in the neighborhood, and it diversifies our financial portfolio by acquiring property. And finally, if I had an issue with, say, the purchase of a particular vehicle that might be in this upcoming budget, I don't think I would vote against the entire budget because I was against one specific line item. I think I would wait until it came up for action and then vote against it at that time. But to deep six the whole budget and be against the entire budget because of one line item and your disagreement with it, it just doesn't seem like it's an appropriate action and in the spirit of what we're supposed to be doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Alderman Wilson.
A couple of comments. First of all, I think that it's been a tough year, and it's going to be a tough year that we have coming up ahead of us. But I think in looking at everything that we've done, we've made some changes and had to eliminate some things that we obviously would have preferred to include in the budget. But like Alderman Wagner, I think that we have things in the budget that we approach the time for expenditures. We may have to make some changes. And if that be the case, we've done it before, we'll live to do it again. My greatest concern, quite frankly, is what the state of Illinois is going to do to our budget. I mean, they've already withheld so much money from us over the past years that are due us, but in order to satisfy their own greed. So I'm just concerned more about what the state government's going to do and how we're going to be affected by that. So I'm all in favor of adopting this budget as presented. It was hard. It wasn't easy. There are things in it I, too, probably would have liked to go on. But I'm in favor of going forward with it, and not on one basis am I going to no. So I'm in favor of yes.
Okay, thank you, Alderman. Let me go through the list of aldermen just one more time to make sure that everyone's been heard. Give everyone a second chance to add additional comments or add a comment. So, Alderman Nashauer, do you want to hear it again?
Oh, just that I haven't made it a practice as an alderman of criticizing the methodology the other aldermen used as their reasoning and rationale for their decision. And I still won't do that going forward. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Berry?
No comment.
Thank you. Alderman Bevere?
No further comment.
Thank you. Alderman Davalos?
Yes, I'd just like to say one final thing. I think these, I want to commend the staff. I know that they have been working hard on trying to do projections, not just from the information that we talked about right at the beginning of the year, because of the way the accounting was changed. But we are in a I think it's almost impossible at this point with no given standards to project the revenue loss that we're going to have. As I listen to the news, it changes every single day. I don't know what's going to happen in Illinois. Are we opening things? Are we closing things? I have no idea, and I think most people don't. So I think the staff, I'm assuming, has made their best shot. It looks to me like we've made our best shot on what's going to happen here, and I think there's enough flexibility and votes and ways for the aldermen to have input to this process that we can vote on this, knowing there may be changes on the revenue and the expenditure side, and it would be sort of a fairy tale to actually think that you knew what was going to be needed. So I'm fine with it this way, but I somehow feel that I will have input. And I think projections are going to change, and we'll make our best attempt with staff, and I think we plan our poll in this budget, and then we see what we're going to do. If we need a budget amendment, that's fine. If we need to question or have a discussion on any issue, I've always felt that staff has brought that forward to us. So I am fine with the process as it stands.
Thank you. Alderman Goodman.
I suppose my only comment would be based on what Alderman Davalos just said about the budget amendment, that I'm not sure that the point that I was trying to make was clear, that budget amendments are necessary when we're increasing spending. And in many other cases, when budgeted money isn't spent, then there won't be any budget amendment. There won't be any vote by the council. There won't be any decision brought back from staff to the council, who are supposed to be making the policy decisions. So as elected officials, our voices, our preferences, our responsiveness to the community and accountability to the voters is going to be missing from those discussions, and that concerns me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Kershaw.
Nothing further, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Widener.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Alderman Wilson.
Nothing further.
All right, very good. Everyone's been heard, had an opportunity to be heard twice. We'll take our roll call at this point.
Alderman Davalos. Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
Alderman Ashour.
Nay.
Alderman Kreschel.
Aye.
Alderman Widener.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Berry.
Aye.
Alderman Goodman.
Nay.
Alderman Bevere.
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. We'll move on to the regular agenda. Item 7A involves a discussion, which will be introduced by City Administrator John Coakley.
Thank you, Mayor. In the packet, under the regular agenda, item A, is a memorandum from the Finance Director and myself regarding things that the council has approved or what we are currently working on, how we're trying to address what is going on. This is our best work. It has not changed in the last, the last week since we talked about this a little bit, the last 2 weeks. We are currently projecting, as you go down the memo to near the bottom, based only on current projections of what we will lose in revenue for March and April, and not knowing right now when the businesses will be able to open up again. We think this is a conservative estimate of the reductions, not an exaggerated estimate. $1 million from the general fund and $400,000 spread across the other city funds. Now that's a substantial loss already. The council took the steps listed, delineated above where I was just referring to reduce expenditures and delay expenditures. As you know, we've cut money from the road program for this year. Now that isn't a separate fund, but should the need arise to move the fund over, the city council certainly can amend the budget and move that money into the general fund if we need to, and that would be up to you. We're not proposing that at this point, but it's an option. The others are delaying projects. The HVAC equipment was to be replaced this very month. During the current fiscal year at the police department, that has been delayed until the fall. We'll reassess it. Probably won't happen until the next fiscal year, but we will see how revenues are. Also delayed large equipment purchases, almost $600,000 worth of vehicles, and things such as the doors, you recall the garage doors of our Public Works building. Further, $164,000 has been removed from next year's budget that was to be the cleanup costs for the gas station property, should the council decide to buy it. And then is just being rolled out with the employees. There's a recommended pay freeze. We're talking to, the first meeting occurred today with the Public Works Union. Our Assistant City Administrator will be meeting with the other representatives of the police unions in the near future. I will be speaking with all of our general and non-union employees during this week. I will talk to them at each staff meeting explain what the council and our position is, and answer any questions they may have. As you know, that may end up, if things work out better than we're anticipating, in November, we will reassess based on your direction and all the union negotiations going well. We would reassess the delayed pay increases, a pay freeze, and there might be an opportunity to give something going forward, but that would be a council decision at that point once we know what the revenues are. Again, until we know how long this is going to go on and how long our businesses are going to be closed, we don't know how much revenue decline we're going to have. Property taxes we anticipate to be strong and consistent. They don't go down during a recession. They don't go up during a recession. The money stays pretty static. But the other revenues are much more elastic. Income taxes, both of our sales tax, shared and home roll, food and beverage taxes, amusement taxes, all of those things do have volatility now. Even our own gasoline tax. This isn't general fund anymore, but people aren't using their vehicles. So we're not going to generate a lot there. So we have to keep an eye on it. I will, and the finance director will, be reporting back to you. We were going to do it every other month at the finance committee. I believe we'll be doing it much more frequently because there will be decisions that will need to be made. Just one other note, the mayor and I are speaking, and we're both working with all the outside agencies about all the summer events. It's somewhat too early to make decisions about the 4th of July or summer days or some of the other ones that are coming up. But we are in communication with everyone. I know the library is even looking at concerts in the Commons. Can they be held? Should they be held? Even if there's alternatives to hold them in a virtual manner. So we're still looking at all of those things. Basically, I will tell you just about everything that we do has to be rethought and reworked and reconsidered. There is no status quo anymore. There's no standard operating procedures. We're looking at all of it just about every day, and we will continue until we get through this. That's all I have to say. Kevin may have something to add.
All right, Kevin Dahlstrand, our finance director, do you have anything to add?
I will add that even though we've projected $1.4 million in loss, that is hardly our last calculation on this. I've lost a lot of sleep already, and we'll lose a lot more as I still try to figure out where we're headed with this. We are not going to know the exact answers, but we are also not going to stop trying to put our hand on where we think this might be headed and what impact this is going to have on our overall financial outlook for the city. There's going to be a lot more decisions that the city council will have to make. Staff will bring those ahead as we find them and determine the correct course to go. So we have a long way to go and a lot of things to watch, and there'll be a lot of decisions that we still have to make. But we will get through this. It isn't going to be easy, but we'll make it.
All right, very good. Thank you, Kevin. Back to John Coakley.
Yes, Kevin, thank you. Reminded me, because of the delay in remittance of revenues to the city, some of them take normally in a normal time, which this is not. It can be 3 months to get sales tax revenue. It can be 30 to 45 days or more to get some of the local revenues like food and beverage taxes. Because things are closed down, because of the delay, the state is even allowing people to pay late. We anticipate it will be at least August before we have a solid idea of what is diminished from the current time frame. So stay tuned, please. We will keep you informed, but we're not going to have a lot of new information for a number of months. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, John. We'll go to the alderman now to see if anyone has questions or comments, beginning with Alderman Ashauer.
Just bringing up whether the council would care to reconsider the possibility of gambling machines as a revenue source and also an aid for some of the businesses to get them going once they do open up.
Okay. Alderman Berry.
Excuse me. I do like the program that they've set out here. Finance Director Dahlstrand and City Administrator Coakley. It's pretty forthcoming as to what we've cut so far. And I know that we will all be looking at things in the future that will need to be adjusted. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Bevere.
Just hope at the end of this, we get all our businesses back and don't lose a lot. I've heard of some possibly folding up. Don't know if it's true or not, but anyways, just find out at the end what's going to happen and keep monitoring it. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Davalos.
Yes, I just want to thank probably all of staff, but in particular City Administrator Coakley and Finance Director Dahlstrand for putting this together and explaining it a little more detail. I listened very carefully to Alderman Goodman. I think she was bringing up some interesting points. So in listening to the two staff members, I feel there will be input. I've always felt that council can bring up things and vote on if they needed to be talked about. So I just am, I do think there's going to be input for the council to weigh in on these issues and for all of us to share together our feelings going forward. So I appreciate the further details on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Goodman.
I have a few questions. City Administrator Coakley just said that property taxes stay pretty static. So I'm curious what staff input might be on the possible effects of the county's proposal for a property tax late fee waiver, and what the impacts to us might be, what possible effects there might be if that revenue is delayed either now or for the June payment or for the fall payment.
Okay. City Administrator Coakley.
Thank you. I'll start, and Kevin may have some input. I've been on a number of phone calls, even including with the county clerk and treasurer about that. It looks like, I don't think that has gone through yet, but it looks like it's going through in some form. The current proposal that is on the table for the county is to delay the first installment, allow people to pay it under certain circumstances with the second installment, so they would have a 3-month grace period and they wouldn't have to pay the late fees. That's some substantial revenue delay for the county and for all the local governments in the county, but we will have enough cash flow to get through that time frame, and then we would be able to make up we'd get it all in one lump sum payment is what I'm trying to say. So it would be a 3-month delay in the first installment, which is a cash flow matter, but our finance director has already set aside some money that would have been reinvested to make sure we have sufficient cash, and the other decisions you've made to reduce or delay projects also provides additional cash that we will get through to the fall when we get that second installment. The first would normally come in June, the second would come in September, then there's a third smaller one that comes at the end of the calendar year, which is probably about 5% of what we get. We don't anticipate, based on what I have learned and from the county folks, any loss of that revenue, just a delay in the revenue.
Okay. Alderman Goodman, is that helpful?
Sure. I don't know if the finance director had any additional input.
Kevin?
I do not have anything additional to add. What he said was exactly the way we see it and the way we understand it right now.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Alderman Goodman.
Thanks. My next question has to do with staffing. I understand that the police academy is closed. So my question has to do with the effect on the budget, which includes 2 new police recruits, and also whether there's going to be an opportunity to discuss the policy matter that may be involved with hiring new staff at this time. I know that Administrator Coakley has mentioned in at least one memo his key priority for the city right now is to keep providing services to the community and do so without cutting people's existing jobs. I know we have not discussed a hiring freeze or anything like that, but I'm curious about whether there will be an opportunity to have a policy discussion about what effect hiring new staff might have on existing staff.
Okay. City Administrator Coakley begins.
We can certainly, we're not, as you mentioned, Alderman, we do not have that on the plan right now, a hiring freeze. That certainly can be discussed. We can put it on the next, probably the next council agenda if everybody wants to discuss that. Secondly, the you mentioned the academy is closed. That is going to delay the actual hiring of both police recruits by several months. I'm going to have to defer to somebody else on staff. I think it's at least a 3-month delay. We don't know, though, when that academy is going to reopen and be able to hold classes. And as I recall, Chief told us, Toronto explained that there is a current class that was basically, I'll say, sent home, and they have to finish that academy. So even when they reopen, they have to finish the academy that was paused or put on delay, and then start a new one. So it would probably be 3 to 5 months before we can even bring those people on board. It should coincide with our November review of things, so that might be an option as we put some of the positions off until the fall. I will mention there is one that we're moving ahead with. I think we actually made an offer of the summer help. I think we've hired, which is almost an immaterial amount of money and very valuable, because I think we'd spend more on overtime if we don't have that person. We did cut it back from 2 positions to 1, but we have gone ahead and hired that one, so everybody's aware of that. I don't remember any, we still got the building inspector. We can bring, again.
And the EMA coordinator.
Thank you, I'm sorry. We got the EMA part-time coordinator. We were unsuccessful in filling that. Why don't I just go ahead and, unless there's an objection, I'll do this in reverse. I'll put that on the next council agenda, which is, I believe, May 4th. We can have that discussion on the regular agenda. We won't hire anyone in the meantime.
Okay. Alderman Goodman?
My last question, well, I guess it's more of a comment, is just to respond to Alderman Ashour's comment where he wondered about our thoughts on adding gambling machines. My response would be that I've read many articles lately about city revenue, government revenue during this time of pandemic, and one of the recent stories that I read had information about how gambling revenue has basically dropped off a cliff and is not anywhere near the projections that people had hoped for, and in particular has put some really sizable holes in some municipal budgets and also the state budget since the pandemic has required most of the gambling to close. So it's not clear to me that that would be helpful during this time, at least, even if it might arguably help some of the businesses once they reopen. But it doesn't seem like one of the more useful areas to consider right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Kershaw.
Thank you. I just wanted to also express my appreciation for this agenda item, because I know that I've been thinking about it a lot as well, and so for appreciate the help and understanding on this topic. Obviously, this is difficult for everyone, and unfortunately, there's no playbook that says when you're in this time of crisis, here's what you do, right? So I appreciate all the thoughtfulness and all the conversation. So thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Widener.
I too appreciate all the projections and the staff kind of keeping the pulse on the uncharted waters that we're in right now. And I think we'll be dealing with a lot of things issue by issue, and I look forward to a lot of robust discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. And finally, Alderman Wilson.
I just had a question concerning the effects that we have now and the quarantines and all. How is that affecting any of the construction projects that we have undergoing right now? I don't know, it has nothing to do with the budget, but I just wondered if you could give me an update.
Okay, let's start with the city administrator, and then we can go to Economic and Development Director Menser.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna just answer in terms of the private construction projects. I don't think you mean the city ones. The road projects are ongoing. But the Governor Pritzker's stay-at-home executive order, along with some subsequent explanations, classified construction as essential services. So initially it listed residential construction, so all of our projects got to go on. They went back and clarified they also intended to list as essential services the commercial construction. So things like Thornton's and
Speedway.
Culver's and Speedway. Oh, not Speedway, they're not doing anything.
Eventually.
Culver's, maybe. Culver's are working, and Warrenville Horizons is planning to move ahead. I think Ron will tell us in a second. They're moving a little bit slower because they have to do some social distancing, physical separation of their workers, which they normally didn't have to do, so that's slowing them down. But they are able to continue work. That's a general high-level answer. I'll let Ron fill in the details because he has to continue working on the plans and issuing the permits every day.
Ron?
The only couple of additions that I would offer is that, yes, in fact, most all the projects that were under construction before COVID-19 surfaced are continuing to move forward. Those large projects that had been approved by the city are also preparing to move forward, such as the Warrenville Horizon project. Most projects are seeing that construction is a tad bit slower generally because of the COVID-19 social distancing requirements. And in certain cases, there's some supply chain issues that have delayed the acquisition and placement of certain critical building materials, but that's to a much lesser degree than the social distancing issue. The additional comment I would make is that the area where we're experiencing a material slowdown in construction is the for sale housing projects that are being built out on Route 59, primarily the Everton Townhouse and the Lexington Townhouse neighborhoods. As a result of COVID-19 and the restrictions on open houses and the uncertainty with what's going to happen with the mortgage market, sales activity in both of those projects has really come to virtually a halt. I do speak with the developers on a regular basis. As late as last week, I spoke with both of the developers of those two townhouse projects, and they remain to this day very optimistic about the future of those projects. They feel that the Warrenville, Naperville market is going to be a strong market as soon as things start coming back. In fact, the Lexington Trace subdivision pulled additional permits for another building last week as evidence of their confidence in the project. So we're seeing a little bit of slowdown in the owner-occupied residential construction, but the rest of the construction is moving forward. They have financing, and it's in their best interest to move forward and get the projects built as quickly as possible so that when the social distancing restrictions do subside to some extent, that they're ready to go and accommodate the market demand that hopefully will be there at that point in time.
Thank you, Ron. Alderman Wilson, is that a satisfactory answer?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, everybody, for the update on that. I just put it in perspective to where we are and that we can look forward to those projects moving forward. So thank you again. Thank you, staff, for everything that you've done. I really appreciate it. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Anyone wish to redirect, have another comment before we close this off? Just say your name and say your comment.
This is Larry. I just wanted, something I had read last week and didn't mention that the Fermi Lab has actually had a confirmed case of one of their employees with the COVID-19, and they're in a scrub down now, and they'll be closed to the public until the foreseeable future now.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we'll work our way to the remainder of the agenda then for this evening. We have nothing under unfinished business, nothing under new business. We have no requirement or need for a closed session this evening, so all we need is a motion to adjourn.
Alderman Wilson, motions to adjourn.
Second, Alderman Davalos.
A motion and a second. May I have a roll call in, please?
Alderman Berry.
Aye.
Alderman Widener.
Aye.
Alderman Greshel.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ashour.
Aye.
Alderman Goodman.
Aye.
Alderman Desir,
Aye.
Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
Thank you all again for your attendance and attention this evening. We are adjourned, and we'll see you next time.